Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thundertron podcast. So today I'm discussing and give you my thoughts on a bunch of brand new Transformers reveals up out of Transformers Friday. So in this segment, I'm really going to be kind of breaking it into two separate pieces. The first half of this segment, I'm actually going to be discussing some Takara Tomy Mall exclusives, and the second half, I'm actually going to be discussing a brand new Beast Wars Masterpiece figure. So if you only want to hear about the Beast Wars Masterpiece figure, just go to about the second half towards the end of this segment, and of course that's what I'm going to be talking about right now. But if you really just want to hear about those Takara Tomy Mall exclusives, I'm actually going to be talking about that right now. So let's jump into it. I'm not going to spend that much time on the Takara Tomy Mall exclusives because both of them are really just kind of repaints. There's a few added details, but they're kind of what you would expect for repaints. But getting into it, we actually do have the Transformers Dramatic Capture Series, the Decepticon Nemesis Bridge set. The price is $110. The release date is June 30th, 2024. So now really just getting into my thoughts and details, and please leave all your thoughts on these figures in the comment section below. All of them that I'm going to discuss in this segment. So of course the Takara Tomy Mall exclusives and the Masterpiece, which ones you're going to be picking up and which ones you're going to be passing on. So talking about the set, I have to say it actually looks really cool. So I do know a lot of these images were kind of floating around for a while now. I think maybe just a tad bit over a week, maybe 2 weeks, most of these figures that I'm going to talk about in this segment or in this video. So they've been kind of floating around a while. Some of the images weren't the greatest, so I really wanted to wait until we actually had them up for pre-order so I could give the proper video, with the proper details and images. Yes, I probably could have done a segment or a video discussing these a while ago. I just thought at the time you really wouldn't have the best look and the best information, so I thought I would wait, and I think that was probably the best and the smartest thing to do, but that is just my opinion anyway. But it's actually 3 figures and quite a bit of accessories and actually quite a bit to talk about. So it comes with the Transformers Siege/Earthrise Leader Class Shockwave, that same Leader Class figure we had quite a while ago, just with a brand new deco. It doesn't have any of that battle damage. It also doesn't include some of the accessories that originally came with that figure. So all those drone pieces, those extra weapon pieces, are not included with this figure. So if you did like those pieces, do keep that in mind. Maybe if you did miss out on that Shockwave figure, because I do think that original Leader Class Shockwave figure was actually pretty popular. It was very well liked, and I think it was a bit hard to come by. They actually had to repack it because I think so many people wanted it. So maybe you missed out on that one, or maybe you just really like this new deco version, you can get this one now. So I think all the battle damage is missing, pretty much all the accessories are missing, which is a bit unfortunate. I think it would have been nice if they were to take away the drone, accessories. That's fine, because I think they were trying to be a bit more G1 accurate, more classic, because Shockwave never really had a drone or of course a ton of extra arms in the G1 cartoon or in the Netflix series. So I do understand that, but it would have been nice if they substitute it with another weapon, like a plastic piece, or I don't know, maybe they could have given us a micro version of Shockwave, in his blaster form. That would have been a cool little kind of tidbit or small little weapon. That would have been a nice inclusion. And he does transform into the exact same, spaceship, but I do have to say, unfortunately, since they removed the drone weapons, it really doesn't affect Shockwave's robot mode, but it does affect his ship mode, because all those drone pieces actually do kind of form the sort of outer armor and the weapons and the wings of the ship, so it does look a bit odd without it. I guess there is one plus: if you do have that original Shockwave, you can just take those drone pieces and add it onto this version. The only downside to that is the colors and the pan-ups won't match from the Siege release to this one, so there is kind of a downside to them removing it. I typically don't display my figures in the alt mode. I just thought you would make sure to be aware of that. But moving on to the next figure, I'm not going to spend that much time on each individual figure because, there's 3 figures and a lot of stuff to talk about. But the next figure is Megatron. So this is the Earthrise Voyager class Megatron. As far as I can tell, molding and tooling for all 3 figures is the exact same thing, in case you're wondering. I could be incorrect. There has been some times where, we'll have pre-orders and figures up for pre-order that we'll think are just straight up repaints, but once we get in hand and we have reviews, we're actually proven incorrect. So as of right now, I think they're just repaints, but I could be wrong. But Megatron actually looks pretty cool. I think I've always actually preferred the Earthrise Megatron over the Siege one. That's just my opinion anyway. He does come with his same, form cannon or kind of fusion cannon. He also does come with the huge kind of, sort of lance sword blaster cannon thing. It's always been kind of an interesting weapon to me. Never been my favorite. I know they had to include it because, he turns into a tank, so it was kind of a requirement, but never really been my favorite accessory. I do like the added details and paint apps they did to remove all the battle damage. I think there was probably a little bit of battle damage on all of these except Soundwave, I'm pretty sure, so it's a bit more of a G1 simplified look, but I do like the gunmetal gray, the silver, the very classic Megatron head sculpt, and if I didn't already mention, I do love the dark glossy purple for Shockwave. I think that looks really, really good as well. And as you would expect, Megatron transforms into a tank, which I think looks pretty cool. Again, as I said before, I've always preferred the Megatron, the Earthrise Megatron over the Siege one. That's just my opinion. In both modes, actually in both modes, I've always preferred the Earthrise tank over the Siege one, and the same goes for the robot. But I do like the really cool treads, the silver, the gunmetal gray, and I'm assuming the entire barrel and the entire tank is the same tooling that we saw with the Earthrise release. But I do still have my Earthrise Megatron, so I'll probably be able to do that comparison because I did pre-order this set. I'll be able to do that comparison once I get this set in hand. But that's really all I have to say for this. Probably definitely the main attraction of this set is the Soundwave, because if you're kind of wondering on what Soundwave mold they're using, they are using the Netflix Soundwave mold, so kind of a big deal because a lot of people have really wanted this Netflix Soundwave mold for a while. They did do a Shattered Glass repaint of that Netflix Soundwave, but it wasn't actually 100% kind of just exactly taken from that figure. There was actually some new tooling with the head sculpt. Also, the Laserbeak with that set was actually the one from Siege, not the one from Netflix, but now they're actually finally giving you the Netflix Soundwave completely unchanged in molding, but also you're actually finally getting that Laserbeak, so you can actually finally have that set. There is one thing you do need to be aware of. The Ravage is not included in this set, but I'm pretty sure between the Earthrise or kind of the Siege one, and the Netflix one for Ravage, I'm pretty sure there was really never any mold change. Not like, Laserbeak, he actually has a few mold changes between his variations and versions, between the exclusive one and the mainline one. I'm pretty sure Ravage has always been pretty much staying the same, just minus a few paint apps here and there, but no Ravage is included. But if you do have like the Siege one or like the one that came from like the Shatterglass one, or maybe like the mainline, the Micromaster one, I think you can just kind of substitute with one of those and you'll be fine. And Laserbeak does transform, into his cassette, and it can store inside Soundwave because he does transform into his boombox. He also does include his shoulder cannon and his typical blaster. So from what I can tell, he actually does not include that gray weapon, which, to be honest, I'm actually perfectly fine with. But I do have to say, since they're removing that weapon, they really should have included Ravage for multiple reasons. Because, of course, they're already taking away one accessory. Also, you do have to keep in mind, since this is pretty much, Netflix Soundwave, that Walmart exclusive figure with the Netflix Soundwave, which I do own, that did include Laserbeak and Ravage. So I really don't understand them removing Ravage. I know it's an expensive set because it's, of course, a lot of figures, but if they are already removing some pieces, I really don't think they should remove another figure or another minicon, especially one being like Ravage, which is a very popular, very well-known minicon that would pair really well with Soundwave. It's not the biggest deal in the world because I have several Ravages, several versions of that mold. I'm just kind of thinking for the people who don't have a Soundwave and don't have a Laserbeak or a Ravage, it's kind of a bummer for them. So I really don't understand them removing that. I understand the entire, removing the blaster because I never liked that weapon to begin with, so I'm perfectly fine with that. But I really think they probably should have kept Ravage. I think that would have made the most sense. And the last thing we need to discuss is the throne. It actually includes a throne. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same mold as the one that came with the Coronation Starscream. So if you don't want that Coronation Starscream, maybe you don't like that Studio Series / Earthrise kind of merge of Starscream, and you don't really care about the whole, throne or the cape, the gear, and you just want that throne, you actually have another opportunity to get it now. I think that's a really cool inclusion. I think it would have been nice maybe if they maybe upgraded it, you know, like put an entire little sort of display base around it, you know, maybe created a bit more of an environment. It would have been cool maybe if this came with like a backdrop. It could, I don't know, if they do not show the packaging or anything. There's no mention of a backdrop that I've seen as of yet, but it would have been nice maybe if they slightly kind of tweaked or modified the throne, you know, to make it a bit more special and exclusive, because this is an exclusive. You do have to order this by the 24th of October. Keep that in mind. So I'm pretty sure after that date or after that day, I think it will be sold out. I do think probably once it hits that release date, of course it does say June 30th, 2024, which I definitely think will be sooner than that. Usually that's, I definitely think they usually do that for these packs where it's a super far away date and then it usually comes earlier. So probably once it actually comes out, they probably will bring it back in stock, but it could be a while. It could be like February when this is actually put in stock, or maybe it could be June, but yeah, definitely if you're interested in this set, I would highly recommend to get it now. But overall, it's a really cool set. I do have a few complaints here and there, like with some inclusions, you know, and some things that they did remove. I do like the throne. I think it's a pretty cool throne. I just think since this is supposed to be like the Nemesis bridge, it would have been cool if there was like a huge kind of, you know, display base around, so you could put Megatron, you know, on the throne, and you could put Soundwave and Shockwave sort of on that display base to create a really cool scene. But overall, I think it's a pretty cool set, and I actually would really like if they did more of these. Like maybe they could do the Arc, like they could do the Arc bridge, like we could get a little, you know, chair or throne for Optimus, like it could include, you know, Optimus, maybe Bumblebee and Ratchets, something like that. I don't know, that'd be pretty cool if Hasbro's listening. I think that's a pretty good idea. And honestly, I think that'd be a really good idea for people who missed out on the Earthrise Optimus Prime. It wouldn't necessarily have to include the trailer. They could if they wanted to, but a lot of people missed out on Earthrise Optimus Prime. I was able to get it. It was so hard to get. It was such a pain to get. I did have to pay overpriced, but I can guarantee definitely a market for that Earthrise Optimus Prime. So that would be a pretty good idea if they did that. But moving on to the next Takara Tomy Mall exclusive pack, it is a Beast Wars pack, another one of those. It is the Transformers Beast Wars versus 08 Ghost Starscream versus Haunted Waspinator 2 pack. So this one actually is priced for pretty much exactly what it should be. It's $70 and the release date is June 30th, 2024. As I said before, I'm pretty sure probably both these packs and most of these figures I'm going to talk about will probably be pushed sooner. I'm not sure by how much. It could be a couple weeks. It could be a couple months, I don't know, but I actually just recently saw the Megatron and Optimus Primal pack, one of these Beast Wars packs. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to release in January, but I saw it in stock on, I think it was like Big Eye Toy Store, or maybe it was even Hasbro Pulse, so these will probably be sooner than they're actually saying. And as regards to the price of the previous pack that I talked about, I'm not really sure on if that's, you know, worth the price or not. It's kind of hard to say. You know, it's about 110, but it does come with 2 Voyagers and 1 Leader and a throne and quite a few accessories. But you also do have to keep in mind, they did remove quite a bit of, you know, pieces and parts of their pre-existing, you know, original releases. But also, of course, they added stuff. So it's kind of hard to say if that 110 is worth it. I do think if it is overpriced, it's pretty close, maybe 100, you know, maybe 90 or something like that. It's pretty close. This one is pretty much spot on to what it should be because it's a Voyager 35 and it's a Deluxe 25, so 70 is pretty much spot on. It's exactly what it should be, which I'm actually pretty happy because pretty much all of these previous Beast Wars exclusive packs have been overpriced. I'm actually very glad to see the one that I chose to buy is what it should be. I did pick up this one, and I did pick up the Nemesis Bridge one as well, if you were wondering. This one I wanted to pick up because I do want to complete all of the versions of the Earthrise Starscream mold. I've actually gotten all of the Siege ones, the Tetrajet mold, and so far, of course, I've actually gotten all the Earthrise ones, and I did buy this one to complete the set, so I'm really trying to collect all of them. The Waspinator, I think, is cool, but definitely the highlight out of this pack is the Starscream, but really just getting into my thoughts, I think the Starscream looks really cool. If you're wondering why Starscream is all kind of, you know, see-through, kind of glowy, you know, kind of transparent. It's because it's a reference to a Beast Wars episode where Starscream's spirit is kind of floating around, or his spark, and he takes possession of Waspinator. His spirit or kind of spark is floating around because they're trying to make a reference to when Galvatron, destroys him. And they also did sort of like this in the G1 series where Starscream was a ghost and he would kind of take possession of a few Transformers and a few Decepticons here and there before he got his body back. So I think that's a pretty good idea. I think that's a really cool idea for a set. And I think it looks really cool. It's like all the clear plastic. It looks very bright, very kind of shiny and sleek. I have heard some concerns about this, breaking or cracking because it is kind of clear plastic or transparent plastic. I don't have that much of a concern because I don't think every single thing is transparent plastic. Like the forearms and the hands, also the head, I don't think is transparent plastic. And I do think some of the bits of the chest and the wings aren't as well. And most of it seems to be quite thick, so I'm not too worried about that. And as far as what version or mold they're using for this set, it's actually taking pretty much directly from that Coronation Starscream. So he does have a bit of articulation in the hands. And I do think the head sculpt might be new. I actually really can't remember. I think he has a bit of a kind of a yelling or sort of a screaming head sculpt. That might be the one from the Coronation one, or it could be the one from the, original Earthrise one. I can't remember. Or it could be new. You might have to let me know in the comments. But he does come with the same null rays, just this time kind of clear, which is pretty funny for a ghost to have null rays. I think it's a pretty fun, pretty silly set. Also, of course, there is Waspinator, which is the exact same tooling and molding from the original Kingdom one, which I thought was a pretty good figure. Definitely not my favorite of the deluxes, but definitely it was a pretty cool figure. And I do like the added paint apps. This one I might actually not put on display in my collection. I might really just kind of put Starscream on display, and I might just sell off the Waspinator, or just kind of put off to the side. I'm not really sure, but I do like the added details. But really, the main reason why I got this was the Starscream, truth be told. And both of them transform into their, typical alt modes, the Jet and the Huge Wasp, which look pretty cool. And that is pretty much it for both of the Takara Tomy Mall exclusive sets, and both of them are actually still in stock, so if you are in just some way interested in them, I would highly recommend to get them now. So now is kind of the second part of this segment. I'm going to try and prevent this from getting too long of a segment. I'm going to try and, of course, put all the news, in one video. I do know there was a bit of reveals from the Walmart Collector Con. There was a few retro 40th anniversary Transformers, but I don't think I'm going to cover those because it doesn't seem like there's a big interest in them. If you do want me to do a video on them, let me know in the comments. It just doesn't seem like there's that much interest in them, and the things I'm discussing seem just a bit more interesting in my opinion. And truth be told, I'm really no way interested in those figures, but getting into the Masterpiece, definitely probably one of the main attractions of today. And this is another one of those figures that we actually knew for quite a while now. There were some images floating around, and like I said before, I decided to wait so there could be some more images, some better images in quality, and also we would know the release date and the price. So this is pretty expensive. It is a Masterpiece, so it is $220, and the release date is September 29th, 2024. So I do think this probably will be earlier. I'm not sure by how much. I'm more confident in those other packs that I previously discussed coming earlier, because those are, repaints, minor retools of pre-existing figures. This is a brand new figure. This is a very big figure, a very heavy duty one. So this might be, around August or September of next year. It could be quite a while a wait for this figure, which is unfortunate, but it is a Masterpiece, so it does kind of make sense. Now, do I think this is worth the $220 price point? I don't know. I've never really gotten a Masterpiece figure before. I think I've owned one for a time and then I sold it off. I think I did have the Masterpiece Soundwave for a time and then I got rid of it. I've just never really been a huge Masterpiece collector. Maybe I'll give a chance on one of these figures at some time. I do like Rhinox. I think he's a really cool character. I think they did a really good job recreating his appearance and design from the Beast Wars series. It's just $220 is a huge, tough pill to swallow. But just getting into my thoughts, we're going to start in the robot mode. I think it looks amazing, super accurate. Love all of the shiny, glossy brown and green, very metallic, very sleek, very accurate to that render in the show. He does come with this really cool kind of, Gatling gun machine guns, which looks super cool. I'm unsure if they're blaster piece compatible. There is some ports there, so maybe you could take some from Siege or, Earthrise or something, or, Deathsaurus or something, and maybe they could work. I don't know. I do love the huge, giant kind of under jaw, the bottom jaw of the Rhino as the chest. That's very accurate. There has been some rumors floating around saying that it is a faux chest or like a faux jaw. It's not actually his jaw. That would be some pretty cool engineering. Truth be told, if it's actually the jaw, I'm perfectly fine by that, but it definitely would require quite a bit of impressive engineering if it's a faux piece. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Love all the kind of bronze gold across the figure. The head sculpt looks amazing. As far as accessories go, he does come with quite a few. He comes with a spark. He does come with that device, I'm pretty sure, where he's trying to find Optimus Primal's spark, a few episodes after Optimus Primal's blown up and destroyed by that huge wave. Of course, also his Gatling guns. And I'm pretty sure there's a piece of clear plastic. I think that might be a stand adapter. It might be for, if you want to display the stand for the robot and the Rhino mode, or it could be for something else. I don't know. And there is an alternate head sculpt. I'm not 100% certain if this is a reference to, I'm just kind of guessing. I think this alternate head sculpt is supposed to be when he's blind, because if you don't know, there's an episode where all the Maximals are blind. So maybe that's what it is, or it could be something else. I don't know. But the alternate head sculpt, he has no pupils, no eyes. It's just white. So that is kind of a makes sense of a guess. And there's a few images of him, displayed alongside some previous Maximal Masterpiece figures, and I think he looks pretty well in scale with those. He was always pretty big. He was bigger than Optimus Primal and pretty much all of the other Maximals. I would say probably, just a bit undersized, probably just a little bit smaller than than Megatron. So, yeah, I think he looks really, really cool. And as for his Rhino mode, there's actually not that many images, but I think they did a pretty good job. I do love the huge, horn, and the ears, Actually, it seems to be there's a bit of articulation in the ears and in the mouth. And maybe he'll have some articulation in the eyes, because I've actually seen, I think, a few previous Masterpiece Beast Wars figures have articulation in their eyes, so maybe he will have some as well. But yeah, it is very, very impressive. I think a lot of people are going to like this and want this. Probably not going to get it. I'm just going to kind of, face facts. It's just so expensive, and again, never really been a huge Masterpiece collector. Mostly due to the space I have and the budget and the money I have, but truth be told, if I had the money, I would buy this, because I do want a good Masterpiece Rhinox, because the Rhinox I do have is the Kingdom release, which is not a very good figure in my opinion, so I do probably need a new Rhinox. Maybe I'll get the Studio Series Rise of the Beast 1 or the mainline Rise of the Beast 1 to replace that one, because that figure is not very good. But let me know what you think of these figures in the comment section down below. I really do hope you enjoyed this podcast segment, and I'll see you next time.